Hi guys, Mrs. Alberts here and welcome back to my channel. Let's begin. Okay guys, we're going to look at FIELA Second. It's an old paper 2 from February 2018. We're going to break it down question by question. Right, so you'll always start with an excerpt, and here we've got text M, and it starts with Armstrong and Lucas. This is after Lucas has gone to Knysna to go and find Nina. She has abandoned her job and she has stopped sending money, and he goes to Knysna to go and look for her. When he's there, everybody's running to Nutsi because there is something happening there, and he meets a man called Armstrong, and they start up a conversation. A little bit later, he goes to Miss Weatherbury, where he has now found out that Nina works, and they engage in conversation. So this is just to put you in the right scene of where the questions are going to originate from. Okay, so question 1, 7.1. Wat moes Armstrong gedurende die nag oppas? What did Armstrong have to guard during the night? And that was the ghost ship that landed at Nutsi. So die spookskip, or you could say die skip. 7.2. Hoekom het Elias vir Lucas op hierdie tydstip in die drama Knysna toe gestuur? Why did Elias send Lucas at this specific time to Knysna? That is where you have to explain that Lucas had to go and look for Nina, or that Lucas had to go and fetch Nina's money. 7.3. Kies die korrekte antwoord uit die tussen hakies. Lucas was bereid om Armstrong te help omdat hy geld wou verdien of ervaring wou opdoen. So Lucas was willing to help Armstrong because he needed money or because he wanted to know more, he wanted to gain experience. And the answer here is to gain experience, because at this point Lucas wasn't really looking to make money. He didn't want to start a job here. 7.4. Lucas ek het lanklaas soveel sterre gesien. Aan watter gelukkige tyd in sy lewe het die baie sterre hom laat dink? So Lucas says that he hasn't seen stars in a long time. What time of his life, what happy time in his life is the stars reminding him of? It could be his childhood, the time in the Lange Kloof, the time when he was with FIELA, or the time before he went to the Van der Weyns, before he goes to the forest. Okay, 7.5, you have to choose the correct answer, and your line that they've given you there, line 10. Snaaks, julle is mos nie mense wat met vreemdes gesels nie. Met hierdie woorde, and then you have to fill in a word, Armstrong die bosmense. It says, funny, you people don't speak to strangers. With these words, Armstrong are doing what with the forest people? Nou, motiveer, motivate, manipuleer, manipulate, stereotypeer, stereotype, or complimenteer, compliment. Now, it's actually, I'm looking at all these words, and you are very lucky with this one, because all those Afrikaans words, even though they are difficult words, they mimic the English. So it's easy for you to spot the right one. So is Armstrong motivating the forest people? Is he manipulating the forest people, stereotyping the forest people, or complimenting the forest people? And it is stereotyping when you say, you people don't normally do this. Then it's stereotyping. 7.6. Hoekom was dit vir Lucas maklik om met vreemde mense te gesels? Why was it easy for Lucas to speak to strangers? Well, it's because he didn't live his entire life in the forest. He's not as secluded as the forest dwellers. He lived with FIELA before he went there. And in FIELA's household, he was used to speaking to many people or new people. He was very social there. So that's why he is different from the average forest person. 7.7, hoekom word reël 11 tot 13 op band gelees? Now, anytime anything is op band, you need to know that when you see op band, it's going to be narrator, thoughts, prayers, something like that. Okay, so why is line 11 to 13 op band? So go back to 11 and 13, read it. This is Lucas's thoughts. Please note, they will not accept if you say he is speaking to himself. Okay, that's that LW at the bottom. It says, let wel, hy praat nie met homself nie. It's not that he is speaking to himself. These are his thoughts. Okay, question 7.8, Miss Weatherbury. who responds, jou sister, and then kop in die lug buitend, werklik. Hoekom het Miss Weatherbury op hierdie manier teenoor Lucas gereageer? Why did Miss Weatherbury react in this manner towards Lucas? Now, there's a few options. You can either say that she didn't believe Lucas, she believed Nina because that's the person that she knows. She could have thought that Lucas maybe took some chances. Maybe Lucas just wanted Nina's money. Or you could say that Mrs. Weatherbury was shocked that Nina would have lied to her. So any one of those would be an appropriate answer for 7.8. Then 7.9, gee 3 redes waarom Miss Weatherbury vir Nina in diens geneem het. So those are the 3 reasons why Miss Weatherbury took Nina in, why she gave Nina a job, and it's actually in the book. First, she says that she needed help in the house. Secondly, she said that she wanted to give Nina better chances at life, maybe teach her some manners, teach her how to be a lady. The main idea here is to give her a chance in life. And then lastly, she needed Nina for a companion. She needed somebody to talk to. Miss Weatherbury, is a lonely spinster, and it was the custom back then to have companions who would be young ladies, to be somebody to talk to befriend, and then to help in life. 7.10, Nina het vir Miss Weatherbury gesê dat sy geen familie gehad het nie, so Nina told Miss Weatherbury she had no family. In 7.10.1, wat kan 'n mens hier uit oor Nina aflei? So what can you deduce about Nina when she says she has no family? Nina was ashamed of her family. She didn't want to have anything to do with her family. She wanted to break away from the forest. Nina didn't maybe want anybody to know that her money goes to them. And Nina is also somebody who would easily lie. If you think about the fact that she stole the bottles, and she's not really a very truthful person. 7.10.2, dink jy dit was reg van Nina om vir Miss Weatherbury te mislei? Motiveer jou antwoord. Hou die konteks waarin sy die leuen vertel in gedagte. This is a very long question. It is a do you think, but you have to be very careful because your own opinion has to be inside the box the question places you. So do you think it was right of Nina to lie or mislead Miss Weatherbury? Then they say motivate your answer, but keep in context why she told this lie. So if you think about your previous answer, you have to now then continue. So you said whatever you said. Do you think it was right of Nina to do so? So if you said yes, it would have been something like Nina no longer wanted to give her money to her father. Nina didn't want her family to know where she was. She wanted her own life. And again, Nina was ashamed of her family. Or if you said no, it wasn't right, you had to say something like she could have lost this chance that she got from Miss Weatherbury by lying to her. And also that Miss Weatherbury was willing to help Nina, so it's not right to lie to somebody who is willing to help you. And it is never right to be untruthful. At 7.12, you had to match the columns. Verskillende karakters het 'n positiewe rol in Lucas se lewe gespeel. So many different characters played a positive role in Lucas's life. Place the character in column B with the information at column A. So in 7.12.1, hierdie karakter het voorsiening gemaak vir Lucas se toekoms. This character thought ahead for Lucas's future. So they prepared and arranged things to prepare for Lucas's future. If we look at our column B, Tant Mali has nothing to do with Lucas's future. Nina has nothing to do with his future. Miss Weatherbury definitely nothing. Bartha would not have done so. So the answer is C, FIELA, because she bought the Laganz's land to put on Benjamin's name so that in the future he would not be ashamed that he was raised by a colored family. 7.12.2, hierdie karakter het dit vir Lucas makliker gemaak om in die bos aan te pas. So this character made it easier for Lucas to adapt to forest life. When we look at the options, obviously FIELA out, Tant Mali nowhere in Lucas's time when he went back to the forest. And Bartha did not help, so it was definitely Nina. Hierdie karakter het Lucas gehelp om die waarheid oor sy identiteit te kry. So this character gave the truth about his identity. The only one in your column B that had the truth of his identity is Bartha. Remember that Elias and nobody else knew about what happened that day in the magistrate. It was only Lange and Bartha. Lange told Bartha who to choose, and Bartha has been carrying that secret with her until the end of the book. So Bartha is the only one that had anything to do with his identity. 7.12.4 Hierdie karakter het vir Lucas rustig laat voel oor sy suster se veiligheid. So this character made Lucas feel at rest with his sister's safety. So it's somebody that is keeping Nina safe, and that would be Miss Weatherbury. So the answer that is there for no apparent reason is Tant Marley, and they will do that with your match the columns. They will always put one that is definitely none of the column A matches. Okay. Now level 3 questions like these, match the columns or choose the correct answers, they are designed to help you score marks. So just make sure that you read everything and do what I did. Go through all the options. Don't just pick the first one. Make sure you know which one is the dummy answer. That was Tant Marley in this one, and that you scratch it out. Make sure that you look for the one that doesn't match anything. You scratch that one out, and then what you are left with you can work with. Okay. Okay, then we move to text N, and here we've got Kitty and FIELA and Lucas and Ben. So Kitty and FIELA at the top is part of the previous section, the previous the previous scene where Kitty and FIELA, they are writing the letter to Benjamin. Then the lights go off, the lights come back on, and we are where Lucas goes in the final scene, scene 8, where he goes to John Ben to tell him that he is not coming back, that he is going to the Lange Kloof to farm, and where he chooses his name, Benjamin Komoti. So this is your final scene of FIELA se kind. .13 asks, die volgende gebeure hou verband met Lucas of Benjamin se lewe as volwassene. Skryf die 4 gebeure onder mekaar in die korrekte volgorde neer. Volgorde means in the correct order. So if you have something like this where there's bullets and you've got the word volgorde, it means that you need to place these sentences into the correct order. How did it happen in the book? So we start with the first one. Lucas kon self besluit dat hy 'n Komoti sou wees. Lucas could decide by himself that he wanted to be a Komoti. We know that that only happens right at the end. Lucas het besef dat hy op sy suster verlief geraak het. Lucas realizes that he is in love with his sister. That was about, midway through somewhere. Lucas het Bartha gekonfronteer oor die waarheid te vertel. This is Lucas confronts Bartha to tell him the truth. That is closer towards the end. And Lucas het gehoor dat sy broer David dood is. So he heard that his brother David died. So when we look at the order, we see that firstly he realized that he was in love with his sister. That is the first thing that happens. Then he hears about his brother David that dies. Then he goes to the Lange Kloof. At the Lange Kloof he tells FIELA how he feels, remember? And then she says that only Bartha can release him of his name. So he goes back to Bartha to confront her about the truth. And only at the end does he get to choose who he is and that he is a Komoti. So first Lucas het besef dat hy verlief was op sy suster. Lucas het gehoor dat sy broer David dood is. Lucas het Bartha gekonfronteer om die waarheid te vertel. And then finally Lucas kon self besluit dat hy 'n Komoti was. 7.14, Kitty het namens FIELA en Seling vir Benjamin 'n brief geskryf. So Kitty is writing for FIELA and Seling on behalf of FIELA and Seling for Benjamin. They are writing a letter to him. 7.14.1 Watter nuus oor Tolly was nie in die brief nie? What news about Tolly was not in the letter? Now that is the news that he was in jail. He was a drunk. We know that already. Benjamin knows that already because that happened when he returned after hearing about David's death. but the part that he got drunk and stabbed somebody is news that they do not tell him in this letter. So you could have either said that he was in jail or that he stabbed somebody with a knife. 7.14.2, wat kan 'n mens aflei uit die feit dat FIELA vir Nina groete gestuur het? So what can you deduce out of the fact that FIELA greets Nina at the end of that letter? Remember, it ends saying stuur groete vir Nina. What does that tell you about FIELA? Well, there's a few things. FIELA accepts Nina. FIELA knows that Nina is important to Benjamin. Also, you can say that FIELA didn't believe that Nina is Benjamin's blood sister, and therefore she condones the relationship, or the fact that Benjamin loves Nina. And there we go. That is the last one there. FIELA would have condoned the relationship between Benjamin and Nina. Any one of those. Then 7.15, watter werk het Lucas vir John Ben gedoen? Now, ladies and gents, please note that in the drama, they don't actually speak a lot about this. We had the moment where Khalil and Lucas was talking about learning to row, and Khalil said that he would teach him how to row if he works for him. And then later on we have Lucas when he goes home to Seling and FIELA. Seling teaches him how to row, but we actually never see him doing a job in Knysna. But in the original novel, and as we can assume later on when we read the final act, we learn that Lucas, at the time he was in Knysna, he did rowing for John Ben. So hy was 'n roeier. 7.16, wie het vir Lucas gehelp om die werk by John Ben te kry? So who helped Lucas to get the job with John Ben? And that was Khalil. He helped him with the rowing, and obviously there's also a section where Khalil says whether Lucas has spoken to John Ben yet. John Ben is the main guy when it comes to rowing. 7.17, kies die korrekte antwoord uit die tussen hakies. Die woord is staan in skynstryk om aan te toon dat John Ben die woord sarkasties bedoel het of wou beklemtoon. So when you go back to your reading passage, you will see that he says jy is beter, and that is in italics. Then they ask you, why is the word is in italics? Is it because he is sarcastic, or is it because he wants to emphasize? Now, whenever something is in a sentence in italic, I'm not talking about a stage direction, but when you have a word written in italics, it's almost like your generation's capital letters. It is to emphasize, not necessarily to scream it, but to emphasize. So definitief wou beklemtoon. Okay, 7.18, voltooi die paragraaf deur die woorde in die lys hieronder te gebruik. Skryf slegs die woord langs die vraagnommer neer. Now, don't you just love it when they give you the words? This is probably the hardest thing to do, especially in Afrikaans, and I'm not even going to say just for literature, for everything in Afrikaans, to have a paragraph and you have to fill in the missing words. So we are very happy that they have given you 4 options, so you only have 2, so you've got 50-50 chance to choose the correct answer. Hopefully you're not that bad luck where you choose both the ones that are wrong. No. John Ben was reg toe hy gesê het dat Komoti 'n eerbare naam was. So we start, John Ben was correct when he said that Komoti was an honorable name. FIELA het respek afgedwing nadat sy blank was. FIELA basically I don't want to say force, but she asks respect, or she does force respect because she was hardworking. Okay, so you've got geduldig, which is patient, aggressief, which is aggressive, hardkoppig, stubborn, hardwerkend, hardworking. Now, if this whole sentence about FIELA, then we need to know that FIELA is patient because she goes back and back and back in this search for Benjamin, and she's definitely hardworking. The next sentence, we see Elias van Rooyen's name, and Elias van Rooyen, on the other hand, he's aggressive and he is stubborn. So Elias van Rooyen wou respek afdwing deur aggressief te wees. So it is about respect. FIELA, how does she
get respect from people? She gets respect because she is hardworking. How does Elias get respect from people? He is aggressive. That is how he tries to get respect from people. 7.19, kies die korrekte antwoord om die sin mee te voltooi, skryf slegs die vraagnommer en die letter neer. Maar jy is die man wat ek in jou gesoek het. Wat dink jy het John Ben in hierdie situasie in Benjamin raak gesien? Hy het raak gesien Benjamin weet wie en wat hy is, wonder waar hy inpas, weet hoe hy geld gaan verdien, het besluit dat hy die Van Rooyen sou vergewe. So remember, there's always one that's completely wrong. So when we look at the sentence, it says, what John Ben says, but you are the man that I always looked for, or that I've always searched for in you. So when John Ben looks at Benjamin, he always knew he was something better, he was something more, but he was waiting for that moment where Benjamin could be a complete and full person, because there was always something lacking for Benjamin. He didn't know who he was. So what do you think did John Ben see in this situation? This situation, the moment he comes back to John Ben, what did he see in him? He saw that Benjamin finally knew who he was and what he wanted. That is A, and that is the correct answer. B, he saw that he was wondering where he's fitting in. No, that's already done and dusted. And C, that he knew how he was going to make money. No, money was never a real thing for Benjamin. And then finally that he was going to forgive the Van Rooyens. I don't think that would ever happen. I think he might, live life without thinking about them ever again. .20 says, John Ben was 'n moeilike man, maar het tog ook 'n sagte kant gehad. John Ben was a very difficult man, but he had a soft side. Hoe word hierdie sagte kant van John Ben in die uittreksel aan die leser oorgedra? How are they trying to convey the soft side of John Ben in this excerpt that you just read? Well, when we look at the excerpt, we see that he complimented Lucas. He said that you are better, you look better. He also had questions about Lucas's life. He says when Lucas says, "I was with my people," or I'm going back to my people. He says, "I thought you come from the forest," or "Is it a new name?" There was all these questions about Lucas. So it shows that he is showing interest. And in your stage directions, it actually says that he smiled slightly through his beard. So that is how they convey the soft side. 7.21, John Ben was bereid om hom dadelik weer in sy span terug te neem. Wat sê dit vir ons van Lucas as werker? John Ben was eager to get Lucas back into his rowing team. What does that tell you about Lucas as a worker? Well, Lucas was a hard worker. He was a good worker. He was a worker that could be trusted. You could also say all those things about being a rower. He was a hard rower, he was a good rower, or he was a trusted rower. So whether you use the word werker or roeier, either way he was hardworking and he did his rowing very well. 7.22 Ek moet na Miss Weatherbury se huis toe gaan. Wat hoop jy as leser gaan hierna tussen Lucas en Nina gebeur? That line, the final line where he says, I need to go to Miss Weatherbury. What do you hope as a reader will happen between Lucas and Nina? This looks like an open question where you get to give your opinion, but you have to stay within I want to almost say the box that they place you in the book. It should be something like that they are going to get together, that they are going to declare their love for each other, or that they are both going to go to FIELA's house. They're going to live in the Lange Kloof. Anything that relates to the book. You cannot now say, that Lucas is going to tell Nina off or something like that. We have this idea that Lucas is going to Nina, and don't go too wide out and say, but Nina is going to reject him because she thinks he's his brother. Just look at the two ending up together. Remember, this is not a romance, no, but there is a natural way of this to end if you think about your movie, and it was intended for you to think that the two should end up together at the end. 7.23 Watter boodskap dra hierdie drama aan tieners met 'n identiteitskrisis oor? What message is this drama conveying to teenagers who have an identity crisis? Sure, it's a very good question. the answers that they give you here, and I like how they give you many options, many answers, so that you, and also remember at the bottom there's a little thing in brackets that says any one of these or something similar. So if you don't have these exact words, don't stress about it. They look for anything similar. So that the answer here by 7.23 is that every person must look and eventually find their own identity. Every person has a choice about who they are, who they want to be. And then finally, every person must accept who they are or who they want to be. So it's all about the looking for your identity, finding your identity, making a choice and accepting your identity. 7.24, hoe word die titel van die drama in hierdie uittreksel beklemtoon? How is the title of the drama highlighted in this excerpt that you just read? Lucas announces that his name is Benjamin Komoti. Therefore, he announces that he is FIELA se kind. So this question, I think I'll do another video with another exam excerpt, but this question was asked before as well, about how the title of the drama links to the content of the drama as well as the end. So always remember that even though the name FIELA is in the title, she is not your main character, because the emphasis in FIELA se kind is the kind. It is about FIELA's child. That is what the book is about. Whole book, all about identity and the boy who is her child, Benjamin, and everything that he goes through. Guys, I hope this helped. Please write me a comment so that I know whether I must do more of these. I am going to do some of the poetry as well. And please, I apologize for the bad sound quality. I am doing this in an empty class after school, so there's a lot of echo. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you've got any questions, you can follow me on Instagram at Afrikaans Classroom. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos, like and share.